Happy Friday! It is Pat Sloan here with our daily videos for our challenges to quilt your own quilt in June, Jumpin' June, and it is the 5th. And on our trusty calendar, which you can download here, it says Bubbly. So we're going to crack some Bubbly today, and we're going to quilt bubbles. Like think of a huge bubble bath full of different sized bubbles, or like kids playing with those giant bubbles. So we're going to talk about bubbles today. I also did a video many years ago, and I will link it down there. So you can look at that too. Okay, let's do that first, and then I have some other news things to show you right at the end. And it's Friday. Happy Friday. Friday is my favorite day of the week. I just love it. Okay, even though I work every single day, I still love Friday. It just is magical. Okay, so let's talk about bubbles. Paper is your friend for this. Now, one thing before I do the big bubbles, let's talk about what you're doing now with your practices, because a lot of you are, you're working on this, right? Trying to make the loops and everything, working on loops. And what I've noticed is out on our Facebook group, I got a bigger pen today, I hope that helps, is that sometimes people are doing a lot of little tiny bubbles like this, and they're having some trouble keeping those consistent, keeping them oval. And so what I suggest first is that you start expanding. Make big old fat bubbles for a while, and loops, big loops like this. Don't go in here with all these little teeny weeny ones when you don't really have any control yet, because they're much harder to do. There's very few stitches to create them, and so you'll see a big difference. You have a lot more control if you're going to go out and make a big bubble. Okay, so when I talk about bubbles, I'm talking about taking these loops, making various sizes, and making them very dense. So like if you just blew bubbles in milk and you saw like all of those bubbles, that is what I'm talking about. And do they have to be perfect? No, that's not what we're going for. They need to be done. So what I'm going to do is talk you through where I'm going with this. So I'm doing various sizes. So if I want to do a big bubble here, I'm just sort of kissing the edges of these other ones. And then I'm going to come out and do another one here, and then do a smaller one to fit inside of there. Then maybe I do a wee tiny baby one, and then a big one. And they don't have to be total circles, they can be ovals. Now at this point, if I wanted to go back and fill into here, I need to backtrack. So I'm going to backtrack, and I am not too crazy that I have to have everything looped around. So now I'm stuck in the middle, right? So how do I get out of the middle? Well, I could do, just follow a line. Just follow the line of the bubble and come out here. So it's a bit like a puzzle. You're constantly looking at what you're doing to find where to go and just filling it in. And when I do these kind of bubbles, then you could backtrack. So I can go around it more than once if I feel like it. Not usually a real big need for that. But I want to make them dense like this. This is what I consider bubbles. So it's very, very dense, like pebbles. One thing, let's come up here a minute. One thing you do need to know when you're doing this is that it takes a while to build that density. So when you are doing this on paper, in order to fill up this whole piece of paper, which, think about it, it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of your quilt, it is going to take you a while to fill all that in with these little bubbles. So if you decide to make bigger bubbles, it'll fill in faster. But if you love the look of this, just know that you're making a commitment to do a lot of them. So that's the way it works. Let me quilt some. I stick that over there. Okay, so I've got my trusty sandwich here, and we'll come down and zoom you in so you can watch. So I never really iron this in between, as you've noticed. I just am using this as is. I fold it up until I do the next video, so it has creases, but of course you don't really want those creases when you're working. It is nicer without them. because you could quilt, you know, a fold in or something like that, which is not your goal. Okay, let's get some bubbles going. I've got a teal thread in here, which is the next thread color I'm going to use on my butterfly, which I'll tell you about tomorrow. So today we're just concentrating on bubbles. All right, so I am going to do a big bubble, and then I can just do some like layering them on next to each other. And now I want to get this thread out of the way because right away it's gotten where it shouldn't be. I was trying to hold it. There we go. So I'm doing a locking stitch, and then I'm cutting the threads just off afterwards. So here we go. More bubbles. Now if I'm going to do a big loop out here, then, okay, so you're not seeing that very well. I need to come over here. Let's see how that goes. So I can go fill back in there. And come back out. Let's see if I can get that camera angle just a little better. Get it in a little closer. Okay. There we are. So now if I want to do a small bubble, and then I suggest if you're doing these, try doing some big ones. And you will see that I have lines that overlap, and none of that bothers me. Now, if that bothers you, then you're going to need to go with a great amount of detail and focus in order to not be overlapping. But, you know, I am constantly trying to just, you know, make the bubbles touch. So I'm also trying to be sure you can see what I'm doing. I'm looking at the camera. So here we go. Come out, come out, come out. Maybe some small ones. I'm going to connect back. I'm going to connect back and fill in over here. So I might do a small one and a bigger one. I'm going to come around the back side of that one. There we go. And I'm doing lots and lots of bubbles. Loop-de-loops. So there is the process, and that lets you see the difference here of how these are more, there's swirls. I call these loops and swirls. These are the bubbles, like what you blow in your milk glass, you know. That's that kind of a thing. Okay. Now if you want to try bubbles, these practice sandwiches are the very best way to do it, because you can get a section, or if you have maybe some placemats, they would be fabulous, because the placemats are going to be what? You know, a section of the placemat, they're going to be a little bit bigger than this, than your paper that you're drawing on. So it's not going to take you as long as it would for me to do an entire panel doing that, which could take quite a long time. So I know I've occasionally gotten where I really wanted to do the bubbles, and then, you know, about a third of the way in, I'm like, because it takes so long. You know, it took, you know, it wasn't really mentally buying into the length of time it would take. So, but today is bubbles. Today, that's what you should be trying. Play around with that. See what you think. Okay, up on the wall. Look what I did. I did the one with the cover quilt, actually. Let's see. Let me get it. The cover quilt from the Jolly Bar book. So cute, right? So I ordered, here, I'll zoom you in just a little bit. So did you see that floral with the red floral with the white? There's a stripe, and okay, see, let me see if I can get it. Oh, I can't do it backwards. But it's that red one, that one there. I am going to do a small border on it. I'll float it with a little, maybe 1 inch white. It's actually blossom that has little red blossoms on it, and then I'll do a little bit of that red. So I ordered a bit of that. Yes, I did. Okay, so remember the Jolly Bar sampler sew along is later this month, and yesterday I did a blog post, I'm linking it down here, that lists all the upcoming things so that you can be prepared. And I also have this on our calendar. So there's nothing new coming up that isn't on the calendar. So like going on a picnic is on the 24th, the Jolly Bar is on the 29th, the sampler. But if you wanted to make a quilt, if you already have the book and you know you're waiting because we shifted the date, you can make one of the quilts from it like I did. And I'm still thinking about that Tula Pink fabric, the monkey wrench, that I have the extras. I have enough extra really to do one of the quilts in here that uses just one Jolly Bar. So I'm still thinking about that. I think I'm going to do it because that's just such a fun bit of fabric, and I really want to use it. I want to do something with it. So, you know, I didn't use it all in the other project. So that's the other thing I'm doing. And yesterday was the announcement. If you didn't read the email yet, there's also a link below here to sign up for the emails. But we've got Christmas in July. It's a jelly snowflake mystery quilt along, and it is so cute. It starts July 2nd. It'll be running on every Thursday in July. You need a Jolly Bar, but you don't need a whole Jolly. I'm sorry, you need a jelly roll, but you don't need a whole jelly roll. So if you have some Christmas fabrics of your own, you could cut your own, you know, strips. Or if I linked you at the website to the one I'm using, which is called Jolly Season, it's got, here I'll show you the one guy. It has got the cutest little snowmen, aren't they darling? And there's these darling trees and snowflakes. It's so cute. So I'm thinking I'll probably use the red and green and then pop in some of maybe the navy from here. Fun. Okay. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for using my links for all your shopping. Be sure you go below, check out what I put out yesterday. Check out my very old YouTube video for bubbles. I love you. I will see you online. Have a fabulous Friday. Mwah. Bye-bye.